Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks a lot for making some time out of your day to check the video out. I know everybody's really busy and got a lot of different YouTube channels to watch, so thanks a lot for picking Intuitive Angling here. Guys, today we're going to be talking about fishing Alabama rigs in the summer. I'm going to clue you in on a technique and a pattern where you can get bit on these things, because a lot of people sort of put them down in the summer. But I sort of discovered this technique by accident. I'll tell you the story behind it here in a second, and we'll get in there. I think it's going to add up to some decent fish for you guys this summer. So real quick, guys, just a couple of quick housekeeping tips to keep the lights on here in the tackle room. I just want to invite everybody again to please swing by fishthemoment.com. I'll put the link in the description and check out our virtual lessons and our lake map breakdowns. These are two things that I work with Fish in the Moment in. Really good resources to learn more about your favorite lake or booking a virtual lesson with me to talk fishing. So I'll put the links in the description for that. Much appreciated. Okay guys, Alabama rigs, not my favorite lure to fish in tournaments. I do enjoy fishing them for fun, but I don't like to fish them in tournaments for a lot of different reasons. And let me tell you a real quick story behind this before I get into today's video. I was at the tournament that Paulie Elias won years ago down at Lake Guntersville on the Alabama rig that made it famous. And it blew up after that. Paulie Elias ran away with that tournament, and the rest is history. But earlier that year, I was at a show, and the person that developed the Alabama rig, Andy Poss, he showed me this thing at a sports show, the Alabama rig, and I'm like, I looked at the thing, and I wanted to be polite, but I looked at that thing, and my first instinct is like, that thing's never going to get a fish. I said, there's not a fish that's going to hit this thing that's got all these metal wires hanging off of it. And this is the Megabass finesse model, but the one he had was a big giant Alabama rig. And I looked at that thing and saying, there is no way that a bass will get anywhere close to that thing with those wires. And of course, and he was going to give me some, and I didn't take them at the time. And it's like, God, I look back now and how closed-minded I was about if I'd have just had that thing and kept it to myself, how tournaments I could have probably won on it. But anyway, that was a little story with that. So anyway, let me tell you the story, another story about how I found about these Alabama rigs working in the summertime. Now, first of all, for the most part, Alabama rigs are not that effective in the summer. And I know inevitably there's always, anytime I make a statement like that, I get guys sending me comments, oh, Randy, you're full of it. I catch a ton of fish on Alabama rigs in the summertime. I think a lot of people just do that just to cause waves. But okay, if you catch them in the summer on it, great. Most people don't. Most people put them down, after about April or so. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I was down fishing at Table Rock Lake, and I was working through this stretch of boat docks, and I came around this one at Table Rock. They've got these, what they're called resort docks, and there's like a little maybe community up on the hill, and they hold 20 to 30 boats, and they're fairly large floating, condo docks or whatever. And as I was going around the other side of this dock to get to the bank on the back side, there was this kid on the end of the dock. He was probably, 10 or 12 years old, throwing an Alabama rig on a spinning rod out off the end of the dock. And I was going around there and I said, hey, you doing any good? And of course, I thought to myself that there's no way this kid's catching anything on this Alabama rig in the middle of the summertime. And he goes, yeah, I've caught about 10 or 12 on it so far. And I'm like, what? Because I hadn't caught hardly nothing that day. He goes, yeah, I'm just throwing this Alabama rig around this dock here. And he goes, I caught a couple fish just jigging it vertical underneath the boat dock here. And I'm like, God, I don't know if I believe that or not. So anyway, a couple weeks later, I was down there and I said, man, I'm going to try that, just to see. So I pulled out this exact one. This is the Megabass a spark rig right here. It's got some small finesse swim baits on it. It's a little bitty finessey one. And I started throwing it down the outside part of these marina docks. And about the second dock I went to, I caught two really nice spotted bass on it, just throwing it parallel to the dock, reeling it down 5 or 6 feet. And those fish were suspended underneath the dock. And there's also, I started catching a few of them. There's cables out off the end of the dock, and I started catching some off the cables there. And I just started running that pattern of throwing the Alabama rig on the ends of those deeper marina docks and catching big spotted bass on it. And I have tried it every other way that you can in the summertime. I've tried to throw it off of deep points for schooling fish, over for suspended fish over the top of timber, windy banks. I can't ever catch a fish on it, but for whatever reason, they will eat an Alabama rig off the end of those condo docks and marina docks. So I think a lot of it has to do with water clarity. You need to have some fairly clean water, water visibility of really, I think, about at least 4 foot. That 4 to 6 foot clarity is really nice for it. And also, if you have shade hitting the side of the dock, it's a big plus, because most all the fish I've caught on this thing in the summertime, it's been where the angle of the dock has created some shade, maybe 5 or 6 feet away from the dock. And those fish suspend underneath those big condo docks, because if you've ever seen them up there, there's a lot of plankton and algae growing on the floats, and there's always bluegill feeding on that, plankton, or on the minnows or whatever that's feeding on the plankton and algae. And most people don't ever fish them in the summertime like that. Most people, they sort of ignore it. But anyway, it's something to try. I just wanted to pass it along to you guys. One thing I would recommend is get a downsized Alabama rig. Don't use one of those big honking Alabama rigs with the big swim baits. Go to your little finessey, 2.5, 3 inch swim baits on there. I like the 4 hook size, but anyway, just the more diminutive Alabama rig. Throw it on like 15-pound test line, a flipping stick. You can also, when you're going around and you see some boat slips in those marinas, if you have it on a flipping stick, you can pitch and flip it back into those boat slips and reel it down the shady side of the slips. And I've caught them doing that as well. So just another thing to add to your arsenal if there wasn't enough about bass fishing. Just wanted to pass that along. So I hope you guys are doing good. We'll talk later.